Welcome, everybody, to the Trophy Room preview of Ghostwire Tokyo by Tango Gameworks. I'm your host, Joseph. Alongside me today to talk about the game, the NanoBiologist himself. Mick, how you doing, my good sir?
Hello, I'm doing very well today. How are you?
I'm doing great because you know what? I've had this game for a bit now, got my hands into it, and first and foremost, this is a very strange preview that we're doing because we only have 20 minutes to do it. That's their rules. So, and also, all the preview coverage that you've seen here is straight from the state of play. There's nothing of our gameplay in it just to make sure that we're not breaking any rules or anything like that. So, that said, this is strictly a preview of the game that we have played thus far and our feelings on it. And we can only talk about up until Act 2, I believe, of the game. And some story stuff, but trust me, no spoilers here. We're really talking about the open world, the fighting, and all that good stuff. So that said, Mick, I bring this to you. Do you have any experience with Tango Gameworks?
No, I mean, I've watched Let's Plays of their past games, The Evil Within 1 and 2. That was back when I did not care at all about horror games, survival horror games, where, you know, you are fighting for every single bullet. Every bullet counts. You will die if you mess up type of games. Couldn't care less about them at the time. So this is really my first real foray into their type of games as the player.
Yeah, likewise, actually. This is my first game of theirs. I know they have an amazing pedigree, and I believe their studio had worked on Resident Evil 4. And for me, now becoming a horror game fan, I finally am stepping into one of their worlds. And immediately I understand what their appeal is in terms of their spooky nature. That said...
The thing is, though, the first thing that really hit hard was this isn't that spooky of a game.
Right.
It's actually a pretty nice entry point for anybody who wants to get into spooky games.
Actually, perfect. Couldn't say it better myself. Because this is way more action focused, it's really about the atmosphere and some of the characters when you're going into like visceral attacks. When you take a look at like they got no eyeballs type of thing, you're like, oh, okay. The atmospheric like horror that they sprinkle into this game is a really good stepping stone to maybe get into not just Tango's games, but other horror games as well. Now, the one thing I want to start with, because I feel like it's the thing that we're going to probably breeze over for the sake of time, is the story of Ghostwire. Again, we're being incredibly vague. I'm not even going to give any characters' names because I don't want to get in trouble. So that said, your overall feeling of where the story has taken you so far, where do you, or not to say where do you think it's going, but how do you like the journey thus far?
It's definitely interesting so far. I am starting to vibe with it because it definitely feels like you are thrown right into the midst in kind of a bad way at first. But now that I'm getting more time with the main character, with this world, with the side characters as well, it's starting to grow on me.
Yeah.
And I'm more curious to want to play this game more, to go past chapter 2. I want to play to see where it goes because there is a lot of unknowns right now.
Yeah. I was more into the immediate nature of where the story takes you on the offset. I was really digging it, and I think the thing that has been growing on me is actually the protagonist, and I'm just gonna call him the ghost buddy.
Yeah.
That you experience their banter as you're traveling the world and as you're doing certain side quests or just even just like shooting some spectral spirits. Like your spectral buddy goes, okay, I think you got this going. I think you got a good head on your shoulders. Or like there'll be a part where all of a sudden you're just talking about like your ghost buddy's DVD collection. And you're like, you're still doing this? Like, you know, streaming's a thing. Like, streaming? Well, no. Like,
yeah.
I love those type of interactions between the two characters. Though I do feel like the main antagonist is a bit like, oh, you're gonna see me every now and again. I'm gonna dip out.
He's generic bad guy, yeah.
Yeah.
And I totally agree about the duo that you have. It's, young rookie with experienced veteran in a sense, but yeah, the relationship is really quickly growing. I mean, I actually highlighted that in my preview coverage on But Why Though podcast.com. It's that is really what's been the hook so far is the banter between the two and how it's really teaching this young buck what this world is that they're exploring,
Yeah.
why it's so dangerous, how they can survive in it.
So let's talk about that world. Let's talk about
Mhm.
how dangerous it is. So you're dumped in the middle of Tokyo. Something's gone awry. There's a heavy fog that has just literally wiped out everybody in the
Mhm.
city. And your mission is to reveal the fog and hopefully bring back the population of Tokyo back into the city. Now we've seen Tango kind of deal with or showcase hub like worlds with Evil Within 2.
Mhm.
This is their first true open world. And we talked about the atmosphere of this game, which I absolutely love. How does the world itself, though, apart from the creepy atmosphere, how are you jiving with it so far?
I love it so much. I think they've designed Tokyo and all the different districts of this downtown area around Shinjuku extremely well. Like all these different shops you can look into. When you do side quests, you can go into some of the buildings and explore those. But I think it's just a really well designed world. Even if it is Tokyo, it's a fun Tokyo to explore because of how spooky it is.
Yeah. And I love how tight everything is. Like,
Mhm.
to me, we haven't gotten really any games that come to mind that explore cities within Japan. And this is what
Or at least not
I've,
on this level.
yeah, absolutely. And I feel like as a dumb Westerner, when I take a look at like videos or photos of Tokyo and I feel like this is that excellent representation of how I would feel as a tourist walking around the streets, of how tight everything kind of is and how leveled everything is on top of each other.
Mhm.
Um, I really dig the map here. I also really love how you traverse it. Like
Yeah.
there's little demon like I forget what they're called, but they're little like demons with wings that are flying around that you're able to just hook shot
Mhm.
onto, and you're able to just traverse the rooftops and glide to each rooftop that you see. I really love the traversal of the map. It looks huge, but it still feels so contained in a way. I don't know if you feel the same.
No, I do, and also I feel like they have designed it in a way that really respects your time.
Yeah.
There's nothing that feels like you need to be doing repetitive stuff over and over and over again, like you would in Assassin's Creed or other big open world games. In this one, everything you do is just quick, easy, and rewarding.
Yeah. And there's a journal in there. Quest log even.
Yeah.
Almost like it should always be in open world games, you know?
Not going to get into the argument right now.
that being said, there's a lot to do in this world.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, what I've experienced. So you could complete some side missions. Which, how did you like the side missions so far?
I think they're pretty good so far. I've
Okay.
done 4 or 5 of them. The most interesting one was in chapter 2. Um, where you go back to an older area that you've explored before, but it's different.
Yeah.
It gets much spookier. And I think if they just keep up with these internal corridors that make you feel more on edge than just exploring the open worlds,
Mhm.
then I think that those side quests will be a good hook
Yeah.
and a good diversion.
Yeah, I really dig the side quests. I love how you'll be exploring like, yeah, these rooms, and then all of a sudden just something switches and everything kind of changes. It
Mhm.
feels like a Max Payne 1 and 2 when you have those nightmare sequences in the
Mhm.
game. The hand puzzles that you use the touchpad for. I tried it a few times, and the great thing about the touchpad gimmick is you could just hold square and your ghost buddy does them for you.
Does he really?
Yes.
I've been doing the right stick the whole time. I
Oh
have
no,
I have
man.
not touched the touchpad at all during this game.
Oh, I have, and we'll get to it in a second. But those puzzles are fine.
Mhm.
I really,
They're
I just love the
they're not
movements that he's
they don't
showing.
really feel like puzzles, but more like busy work because they tell you the
Yes.
solution.
Yeah.
You just have to repeat it. It's
It's
not
like
really.
Simon says.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Clearing Torii gates, which again they're littered. You see them on this on the title screen. They're littered throughout the city, and pretty much those are like enemy hubs, enemy bases that you're clearing out. Um, and then you get to find little tanukis that are like roaming around, and they're cute and adorable, and they remind me of my cat Tanuki, which that means I
Aw.
love them all. Yeah.
Also, the spirits everywhere too. Like that's the
Yes.
biggest collectible. Where I have put, I think 7 hours into this preview, and I have gotten maybe 12% of the spirits, which
Same.
feels like there is so much more to do. I hope there's not a trophy tied to collecting them all.
Oh, I don't know. I hope not too. But that being said, that's one thing that I'm constantly doing. I'm trying to find these groups of like spirits that
Mhm,
I take and I pretty much I hold in these cool little like paper symbols, and I then go to a phone booth and it just converts them into energy that I could spend to level up my character to do all sorts of cool stuff with. And
mhm,
let's get right into it. The fighting in this game, the magic, the spectral
mhm,
abilities, the bow that I have so far. You have wind, fire, water again so far.
mhm.
How you liking the combat, man?
I think it's really fun. I think that's one of the biggest pluses of it, but it's also a big negative too,
Ooh, okay.
where the combat, it's super flashy, first of
Mhm.
all. Doing the like seeing him do these cool hand signs and actually harnessing and charging up these elements, that's really fun to do. Going for the finishers as well, really cool, really awesome, really flashy way to finish fights early.
Yeah,
But also, this is where I don't jive with the game the most because it feels so sluggish to move around in a fight.
yeah,
It feels like whenever you turn, you're walking in molasses
yes.
and you cannot dodge. You have to block.
Mhm. Yeah. For me, I feel the same. The one thing that I don't like about this game, and I know it sounds really weird, is turning feels like you're stopping to do a turn.
Yes.
And it feels so weird. And I
Like,
get it. You're supposed to feel like a typical guy, but it it does get in the way of just trying to maneuver around.
but also normal movement isn't like that. It,
Yes.
it feels like it's a issue of going from a third person game to a first person game.
Yep.
But with a studio that is tied with so many other amazing first person shooter games, because this is basically a first person shooter,
Yep.
how could they not ask for help or get any advice on how to make the first person movement mechanics feel good?
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, absolutely. That being said, though, I do love the magic abilities that I've gotten
Yeah,
so far. So,
absolutely.
like, what I'll try to do is I try to find like a segment of the room or arena, and I try to make that my little area. And yeah, taking them out with like the wind ability, which is just your single shot, your fire ability, which is like when you harness it up to full, it's like a big giant blast that you just
Mhm,
get to do AoE damage with. The water ability, which is pretty much like a horizontal shotgun. Everything feels really good. I'm really digging it. And when you do get a
yeah,
perfect block in, um, it feels it feels rewarding. I do like how as far as I've gone, I've had to switch up and change the way I've played to kind of serve the moment that's happening right in front of me, if that makes any sense, or the fight that's
mhm.
happening right in front of me. I really dig the combat, but yeah, you're right. The turning is, yeah,
Like
seen
for a
better.
game that's you're really having to back away from all the enemies, since the melee is garbage.
No, you don't even use it. Yeah,
Don't use the melee unless you're really desperate and need some ammo.
yeah,
But if you have to back up so much, you're going to be backing up a turn because you are going to be walking into walls, walking into cars on the streets, walking into corners, and you have to move away from that. So why make that part feel punishing?
yeah, yeah. Don't make much sense.
No, it
That being
doesn't.
said, though, I do want to bring up the touchpad here because you could change your abilities with a swipe. That has
Yeah,
helped me a lot. I
I
actually use it all the time.
I found it just to be just as efficient to open up the wheel and switch quickly because I know where all my normal abilities that I go to are.
Yeah. No,
You said you like the bow. I like the fire the most, so
yeah.
I go to the abilities more because I never have enough arrows to help out.
Yeah. And last but not leastly for me here, I want to give a great shout out to the DualSense. Oh,
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. They got it right. They were just like, hey, Housemark, let's get all that rain in here. Hey, Ratchet, let's or some of our abilities could use some of that punchiness as well. The DualSense feels incredible. You feel the rain, you
Mhm.
feel when you're charging up a fireball, everything feels great. Also, your ghost companion will talk through the DualSense. And this is a great time to bring up, maybe there's an option, I don't know, but this game is Japanese only dubbed, or sorry,
No, there's English dubbed.
oh, is there English dubbed?
It's trash. Stick with Japanese.
All right, then, fine. I didn't,
I played it on. I switched to English for maybe 5-10 minutes.
yeah,
Could not stand it.
I couldn't find it. So, okay, you're smarter than me.
You can only do it in the main menu, but
Ah,
oh my god, it feels so stale, like a horrible English dub for an anime.
all right, cool. Yeah, no, now that, because I got the Ghost Buddy's voice down for me, and it's funny because I'm playing with my friend in the room, and she's just like, is your controller speaking Japanese to you? I'm like, absolutely it is. And they're great.
And I
This
think
is
after
my favorite Ghost Buddy.
Coming from
Yeah.
Yakuza is this, it's just so much more fun to be in Tokyo and playing with the Japanese language.
Yeah.
Because it feels so much more you feel so
True.
much more involved into the game.
Yeah.
So much
Yeah.
more immersive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like going from like Ghost of Tsushima when I played it in English and then going to Japanese. I'm like, yeah, this sounds like, again, nobody would be speaking English here. So like this makes so much more sense given its location. All right, awesome. Last but not leastly, your final thoughts as we're closing things out. I know you wanted to talk about some bugs that you've experienced before we head on out.
I didn't really experience too many bugs actually.
Ooh, great.
There were some things that I found that felt odd, like it felt more like I'm on a stick when moving around.
Mm.
So I would jump up and block, which would kind of be the mini dash. I could hop over fences I shouldn't have,
Mhm.
or I just died in certain corners I felt like I shouldn't have died in. But yeah, the only real issue that I had was again the movement and taking damage because there's no real way to dodge or counterattack. It was really
Yeah.
just blocking or fighting back more. And the best way, if you're not good at dodging or not good as blocking, is eat food. That's how I got through all the difficult parts. Was I just spammed eating food
Yeah.
because you can hold so much food in this game.
So much, all of it. You find a plastic bag, the most beautiful thing you've ever seen floating in the wind, catch it, that's food, and it'll heal you up, all the good. Yeah, no, I'm actually really enjoying my time with this game. I haven't experienced any bugs, any crashes, which for a preview build, bravo to you. I'm really digging this game. I think I could be playing a whole lot more.
I've been excited to have this preview date pass and finish up my preview coverage so I can finally move on and not get anything mixed up between what's after chapter 2 and what we had to preview.
Yeah, absolutely. So that said, that's our preview coverage of Ghostwire Tokyo. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments and we'll try our best to answer them. But before we go, Mick, where can people find you, good sir?
You can find me on Twitter at DA NanoBiologist. You can find me on TikTok at Nanosecond Gaming. And you can find all my written coverage at butwhythepodcast.com.
There you go. And trust me, I've seen a lot of TikTok coverage in the past 48 hours, more than I ever wanted to see in my life. And your coverage is by far the best. I mean that wholeheartedly. So yes, go coverage or all of the nanobiologist stuff is in the description. You can find us over at the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast over on YouTube. You can find us over on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, wherever you get your podcast service of choice. You can follow where me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest and greatest in all things PlayStation each and every Thursday. So check us out there. With all that said, with all that out of the way, everybody, keep your wits about you, keep hunting, and keep playing PlayStation.
Bye.